Hello and welcome. My name is Carol Carter. I'm here along with Celeste Gardner. We welcome you from Global Minded, and we're delighted to have the panel today on responsive STEM education and how project-based learning can support student-led learning and outcomes. We have some incredible people who will be joining us for this event. And this is part of a whole week of different STEAM, STEM, and technology sessions. So we're delighted that you could join us. And if you're interested in sharing this out after the event, we will have this posted within a day to our YouTube channel. And if you're subscribers to our newsletter, the link will also be in the newsletter tomorrow. So thank you very much for joining us. If you're not familiar with Global Minded, we create a capable, diverse talent pipeline by connecting women, people of color, first generation to graduate high school and go to college, to role models, mentors, internships, and jobs. And we do that through 4 or 5 different ways, but one of those ways is a major conference that we have every June. And this is part of the virtual experience we're all having that's basically COVID induced. So we're very grateful that everybody part of today is so flexible and willing to do this. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panel leader for today, somebody that I met, gosh, I think almost 5 years ago at an Asia Society conference in Philadelphia. And Kaiser is the founder of Project Engin, LLC. It's a STEM education consulting firm dedicated to the inclusion of engineering design in K-12 classrooms. She is a former engineer and educator with over 30 years of experience. Following an award-winning teaching career, she has spent the last 5 years providing professional development, curriculum support to schools and educators interested in using engineering design thinking and practices to frame active project-based learning. In addition to her ongoing workshop commitments, she has presented to numerous national and international conferences. Her work with Project Engin led to the company being named the 2017 Small Business Administration Micro Enterprise of the Year for the New England region. So her engineering experience in product and market development in the metals industry led her to value creativity, collaboration, problem-solving skills. She's also a 2013 Fulbright Distinguished Teacher and spent 6 months in Singapore researching engineering design performance. So join all of us from Global Minded in welcoming this incredible panel today. And we also want to say hello to Kathy and Kaari and Susanne, everyone. So welcome. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you, Carol. I really want to take a minute to thank everybody for being here. This is a very busy time of year for many of us, particularly when we get into the world of education. So taking, an hour to spend some time sharing resources with you is something that we are honored to be able to do. All of us here have a focus on including more people in the world of quote unquote STEM. We live in a very designed world. We are, as educators and people who support educators, very committed to making sure that every student has access to education that lets them know what the opportunities are out there. So that's some of what our focus will be today. We're also going to focus on a very real problem of having to take what is typically education that has a hands-on component and put it into this distance learning model. That is a very real need for educators right now, and we're here to help you out with that. So the rest of the panel is going to approach it from the angles that their organization best supports and share with what they've done. So Kathy, Susanne, and Kaari will share different resources that they have available, both in normal times and in this abnormal time, to encourage STEM education and workforce development, and to give students and teachers a place to go for some really engaging learning. Bryan, who is a colleague of mine, is also a teacher, and he's probably a real expert here. He has lived through this transition from in the classroom to this remote or distance learning model, and he's managed to do it in an engaging and sort of very active way for his students. He has just been notified that the Rhode Island Department of Education has given him an award for outstanding teaching during distance learning. So he's our expert on what it's like to walk the walk. I'm gonna quickly go through what my company's about, and then we're gonna hand it off to each of our panelists to tell you a little bit about not only, who they are. I'm not gonna go through all of their bios, they're gonna do that for you. But more importantly, they're gonna share with you how they can help support your efforts and what the mission is of their different organizations. We're gonna wrap up that sort of getting to know us stage by having Bryan share some of his experiences. We're then gonna have some discussion around, how can we help you to better engage students? How can we help you to reach out to all students? And how can we introduce the power of this field of STEM careers to students as a way to change the world? So that's sort of the layout for today. If you have questions, just I believe Celeste somebody can kind of monitor that, and at the end we will try and make sure we've addressed all of them. Basically, these are the things we're going to talk about today. How do we engage students in these disciplines and career fields? And in my experience, the first thing is you have to let them know what they are. How do we connect what is going on in the classroom to the real world? And honestly, in a way, we've been handed a gift. Students are in the real world right now. They're not in classrooms. So I think we have a chance as STEM educators and people in the field of STEM education to really leverage that. How do we get students with diverse talents and backgrounds engaged? And Bryan can kind of speak to that from firsthand experience. The other thing is that we're going to do is share how do you create project-based learning that involves groups and keep it happening when students are not together. One of the best parts of the work I do is that students collaborate all the time. And in a time when we are all socially isolated, collaboration is probably more important than ever. And then we all have countless resources and ideas to help you. I'm not going to go back through my bio because Carol did a wonderful job, but basically I've walked in both worlds. I was an engineer and then an educator. And now I have been running this business since 2014, and we have reached hundreds of schools and thousands of students. So that sort of was my mission as I started it, that to make sure that every student understood how the design world was created and how we as humans have the power to change that and to make it better. I am committed to the fact that we need to reach all kinds of learners. And I think all of the organizations here, that's part of their mission. We can't solve our problems if we have people who all think the same way. The other thing that I am very committed to is engineering, because that's my background. So everything I do, including what I'm doing right now, starts from an engineering design process. And that is sort of how my business runs. All of the businesses, and there are really more organizations that you'll hear from today, have a slightly different approach, but we all view STEM as something that is multidisciplinary. To get a taste of what I do, we have several large programs. We've got one where we've re-engineered the science fair to have students work in groups. We have another program that involves curriculum that really looks at global issues and asks students to try and solve them one place at a time with small scale solutions. All of my work has been compiled in a book that really is a handbook for teachers who are trying to teach differently and teachers who are attempting to include that designed world and how it comes into being in the classroom. I have had to re-engineer my business during this crisis because most of what I do is in person. So we are working on moving online. We're creating a community of practice on Participate, and we are about to launch some professional development courses. So I in a way, have lived what many teachers have lived. I had a model that depended on being in front of people, and I am currently re-engineering it because the constraints and criteria have changed, and I need to adapt. So I am going to leave off here, and we're going to hear a little bit more from Kathy Bihr, who will tell you what the TGR Foundation is all about and how they are sort of reaching out to students and educators right now. Kathy?
Yep, thanks, Anne. I really appreciate it. And thanks, everybody. It's still great to be here. And I'm sure you're all kind of wondering, you know, what the heck does Tiger Woods know about education? And I thought this was all going to be all about golf. Well, stay tuned. There's lots to come on that. I have a background in education. I was just kind of adding it up in my head, and God, it's over 30 years I've been in education, and really committed to working with young people and ensuring that, you know, everybody has a fair shake, level playing field, whatever you want to say, that, you know, kids have a dream of where they want to, what they want to be and where they want to go. And my job, as I view it as an educator, is to help them get there. And so, you know, it's been a great match with the foundation. I joined in 2004, and my job was to help shape the education program for the TGR Learning Lab. I guess we wanted mission. Sorry, I'm going to be a little out of control here, but and somehow my screen is shifting on its own. So my apologies for that. Let me go back a screen. Well, the mission of the foundation, let me just say it that way, is really to help young people pursue their passions through education. And the way we do that, we have a few core programs that we work on. Number one is the TGR Learning Lab, where I started my career with the foundation. And what we really set out to do was to create a location where kids could come and discover who they are and where they want to be. And I'm still not sure who's controlling my screen right now, but it keeps bouncing back.
I somehow was able to grab it.
Well, okay, it's got to go forward. So I don't know, maybe Anne, if you have control, you could help me out and just push it forward a slide, maybe?
Yeah. Not sure what happened there, Kathy. There you go.
Thank you. Okay. So just to back up quickly, the Learning Lab was really designed to help young people explore STEM careers through a variety of hands-on activities, mostly after school. We're kind of an out-of-school time organization, but we work very collaboratively with local school districts and other youth-serving organizations to reach as many young people as we possibly can. Okay, can you advance for me one? I'm afraid to touch the screen.
I'm not sure. Okay,
that's perfect. What we found is that, you know, all of the programs and things that we offer through the Learning Lab, we were getting really great results. We thought we would launch in 2006, which we did, and have kind of a slow growth. And very quickly, the kids really responded. And
sorry.
Here we go.
Learning Lab, yes. I'm sorry.
Going.
Yep.
Going. One more. There we go. Okay, so TGR Edu Create was a way for us to take the things that are happening in the Learning Lab and share that resource with educators all over the country and now all over the world. So TGR Edu Create is our professional learning arm. It is designed to help work with in-school teachers as well as out-of-school time teachers and really help them think about how to transform their teaching and student learning to be much more inquiry, project-based, and just more student-centered in general. And so that's something that we can talk about as well. I'm gonna see if I can get this thing to go myself here. There we go. Okay. My connection actually to my great colleague here, Susanne Thompson at Discovery Education, is once we started going with Create, we wanted a way to scale quickly. And so we partnered with, you know, one of the best in the industry to create TGR Edu Explore. It's a website where you can find all of our resources. They're available for anybody free of charge. You can download lesson plans. You can actually assign units and activities to students in your classrooms, both in STEM and also in college access. So that's the other side of the house, is we do have a very active interest in trying to help young people who are from underrepresented communities find their way into college and beyond. So we have included that on our Discovery platform as well. And then finally, you know, we would all be remiss if we didn't talk about what's happening right now. It is a crazy time, and we also, like most of you, have been on work from home for, I think we're going on 11 or 12 weeks now. So we created a whole variety of resources for students and families to be able to do at home. So there was a series of design challenges. We created some STEM Unplugged videos that you can watch with your students or with your children, and you can actually create science experiments, I guess, right from home, and actually just kind of build that culture of inquiry in your own community. And then we have our college access pieces and the digital downloads. And then we actually created a live Create Cafe where educators who are saddled with how do we take all of what we're doing in the classroom and make it work online. Create Cafe is for you as an opportunity for you to come in and ask our professional learning team any question you want, really, about how to work more effectively, particularly in this distance learning mindset. So in a nutshell, my apologies for some of the snafus there, but I think we're on the track now, and I'm going to pass to my good friend, Susanne Thompson.
What a pleasure, Kathy. Thank you so much. And it is I want to send a hearty welcome and thanks to all the participants that are on today. If you're actively teaching right now, thank you so very much for all that you're doing. And just hello and welcome. And it's an honor to be here with my colleagues and fellow panelists today. As Kathy said, she and I have the incredible pleasure of working together, not only as educational colleagues, but as partners as well, to support some pretty important STEM initiatives. And we're honored at Discovery Education to help advance the mission of the TGR Foundation. Much like Kathy, I have spent my entire career in education, over 30 years, and have been with Discovery Education the last 11. And if you're familiar with Discovery Education, you know that we work with educators and students and parents, ministries of education globally, impacting and supporting the incredible work of over 4 million educators and 45 million students around the world. We build a whole variety of digital curriculum. Kathy referenced the TGR EDU Explore site, and that was a tremendous partnership effort in which we collaborated on making sure that the resources that we were building to support their mission are also freely available to educators all over. So really, really proud of that particular initiative. Central to today's conversation and to our wheelhouse at Discovery Education is a lot of time and effort and diligence and great learning from our community of educators and many of you probably on the line today, relevant to helping advance STEM skill building, STEM thought leadership, professional development related to STEM, and then what do really innovative, engaging instructional practices look like relevant to STEM, project-based learning. And then obviously all of us are in this challenging time right now associated with COVID-19. So I'm excited to share some resources today. Also thrilled and honored to hear from the other panelists today and eager to get involved in some question and answer to support all the important needs that all of you bring to the table today and be able to help and support the great work. So right out of the gate, relevant to STEM, I wanted to make sure that all of today's participants are aware of our STEM Careers Coalition at Discovery Education. And this particular initiative comes to anyone who can access that stemcareerscoalition.org site. There are a whole variety of resources on this site that are built to specifically support STEM education. Could be through direct student activities. There are lesson plans. There are a whole variety of career vignettes. One of the things you see in the lower right-hand corner of the screen right now is Jessica Hawley. Jessica is a drilling engineer at Chevron, and she has a fascinating job. One of the things we love about career vignettes at Discovery Education is the idea that when students or parents or teachers can really see a professional in action, applying those STEM skills in a day-to-day way, it suddenly becomes alive and it suddenly becomes real, and kids start to say, oh wait, that's what they do? That's why I should really pay attention into my Algebra 2 class, or that's why I should really think about this chemistry assignment, because this is how somebody like Jessica in this case is applying those incredible skills to the work she's doing on a day-to-day basis. So definitely please take some time to take a look at the resources that are available to all of you. And those resources are K to 12. So they span a whole variety of opportunities for any educator in any subject area to support that. And we're excited. We will keep building and adding resources to that site for anyone to tap into as you need to support your STEM work. As unfortunate as the coronavirus situation is for all of us, Discovery Education wanted to ensure that we had prepared a whole variety of resources to ensure that the educators who are moving quickly to rethink how to support students, parents, communities, we've put together a variety of resources that are available largely at no cost to schools all around the world. So again, the URL is at the bottom here. We've got a specific channel of resources dedicated to viruses and outbreaks. This is a tough topic. The conversation a parent or an educator might be having with a 13-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 5-year-old who's wondering, why can't I go out, and why can't I see my friends, and why can't I go to school? So there's some incredible resources there to help children of all ages and help parents or educators understand how to tackle this tricky concept with children of all ages. But we've also pulled together our daily DE for parents. There are resources there that help chunk really nice bite-sized activities for parents to be using with their youngsters at home. Many of you are probably parents on the line, and for those on the line who are not used to being in a teaching role, but you're used to being in a parenting role, and suddenly being in a situation where you're now needing to provide lots of activities to keep your kiddos active during the day. And again, those daily DE for parents could absolutely be used by a club sponsor, could be used by an employee, could be used by an educator as well. We've got links to virtual field trips, which is the opportunity to watch a 25 or 30-minute segment that takes you and your students or your children out to somewhere else in the world to really explore how, you know, a company or an initiative or a group of educators or a group of adults or a group of children are exploring something together. Those virtual field trips cover spans and spans of different kinds of topics. We've got lesson planning activities, additional topical resources, and even a social distancing app, which has really put STEM skills to the test. So I'll give a little bit more details about some of these things. When you take a look at the daily DE for parents, this is generally how it's organized. And there are resources for each day of the week, and they're broken out by grade level, and everything is archived there too, so that if you haven't seen this before, you can go back and use the things that we've previously shared. There's also weekend challenges available, and they're really good hands-on activities that are quick and easy for you to use with your youngsters, whether they're at home or in your virtual classroom. Resources, again, for parents or caregivers or for educators. The virtual field trips that I talk about, there's some samples of those on the left-hand side. It may be how 3M is implying science, or how Lockheed Martin is using incredible techniques of research and development, or what is the NFL doing and how do they integrate math in all the work that they're doing. On the right-hand side, there's some very, very specific resources for educators who are been placed in a challenging situation, either might be in a setting that is well-resourced or might be in a setting that is challenged, to have tools at the ready to be able to support and connect with your students. So there's a lot of simple bite-sized tutorial there to say, how do I actually get started with virtual learning, and some step-by-step guides that we would love for people to take a look at and freely use to support the good work that you're all doing right now. Some additional STEM resources, if you're looking specifically, Kathy talked a little bit about the TGR EDU Explore, which is a wonderful collection of resources that really helps promote the TGR Foundation and their passion for reaching children in all stages of life and all ages and all communities. We've also got content that's associated with the Illumina Foundation and decoding DNA and how does that work. A really, really interesting field trip on what does nuclear today mean. USAA and great colleagues in Texas have supported financial literacy. Stanley Black & Decker does an incredible session on innovating and what does that look like and what a makerspace look like. So please definitely take the time. There are lots more of these resources that are freely available, and they consistently are freely available to educators right now from those links. So wanted to make sure that you had these links in your hands to be able to put some good tools in your hands at this challenging time. And with that, I'd love to turn over to Kaari.
Unmute very quickly. Thank you so much, Susanne. Let's see if I got control. As Susanne mentioned, my name is Kaari Casey. I'm the Senior Program Manager for Virtual Programs at the New York Academy of Sciences. For those of you who might not be familiar, the New York Academy of Sciences is one of the oldest scientific institutions in the country. Founded in 1817, we recently celebrated our 200th year anniversary with 20,000 members around the world, 7,000 early career investigators. That includes everybody from our undergrads to our postdocs, and 5,000 young members who are students ages 13 to 19 who have become really integral to the mission of the organization as a whole. The Academy itself has a number of programming options and opportunities. We're probably most well known for our convenings and events in which we mobilize our expert networks to provide a lot of critical scientific knowledge and fostering conversations in an interdisciplinary way. And so historically, that's what the Academy did. And in 2015, we realized that we were sort of missing a big chunk of who the next group of innovators would be, which is our young people. So in 2015, the Academy formed what we call our Global STEM Alliance. The Global STEM Alliance is the initiative of the Academy to build and diversify our STEM pipeline. So we provide programming for everybody, ages, kindergarten, all the way through their postgraduate, postdoctorate careers, around really essential 21st century skills, as well as STEM content areas and disciplines. And we do that in three major ways. The first one being, we truly believe in the power of mentorship from real scientists and engineers. The power of the Academy as a whole is found within our network. We are honored to have Charles Darwin, Margaret Mead, Thomas Jefferson, you name it, as wonderful historical members. And they gave back through the Academy through mentoring people who went on to do great feats. We have over 30 Nobel laureates in our community. So what we do and what we focus most on is connecting young people to STEM professionals so that they can have experience with not only seeing what STEM careers look like, but what goes into those STEM careers, and receiving guidance and feedback through their academic and personal pursuits as they sort of move through that pipeline. In addition to the mentorship component, we of course are really focused on real-world challenges. All of the programming that the Academy puts forth is based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and is rooted in the idea that students will learn best when what they do matters. So we ask our students to work together with our STEM mentors, with their peers from around the world on solving these really grand challenges. We just ask them to fix climate change. It's no big deal, super easy, they can do it. And coupled with this sort of big tasking, they have their mentorship, they have their ability to tackle these real world challenges. We need to make sure that everybody has a foundation on which they can be successful, which is where our skills training and 21st century skills development comes in. So the Academy puts that into sort of four big buckets. We have our academic and college readiness component. We have our training in communication, leadership, and critical thinking. So these four big buckets that when students get enough content and go through our programs and strengthen the resolve in each of them, contributes then to their ability to solve these really big real-world challenges. And so the two, I think, programs that are the best fit now that we have kind of transitioned to a completely virtual world are our Academy's suite of virtual programs. The two most notable being our Junior Academy and our 1000 Girls, 1000 Futures program. So both of these programs have the, I guess right now I would say, benefit of having been virtual all along. So we've been serving in a virtual capacity for the last 5 years. So we haven't had to sort of reframe or backtrack or do anything in the face of the coronavirus. We've actually been able to provide a resource that we already know what we're doing with. So we've been really excited to be able to offer a place and a platform for students to engage with us at this really critical time. Our Junior Academy is a really old, actually, program at the Academy. It was started in the 70s by a bunch of high school students who decided to hang out at our headquarters on the Upper East Side. And in 2015 was reborn as an international virtual program for students ages 13 to 17. The Junior Academy right now currently boasts 3,000 students from over 100 different countries who collaborate together on the Academy's proprietary collaboration platform called Launchpad. So we've built and designed what I lovingly refer to as a Facebook for science to support our students as they connect with each other. They strengthen their network by meeting peers from all around the world and use our directory to reach out to STEM experts in every STEM discipline that you can imagine. Students in the Junior Academy form international teams and are paired with a STEM mentor and then work to solve grand challenges. We've done a number of challenges, of course, all in alignment with those sustainable development goals, but also that are really relevant to our current atmosphere. So in March, we released the Combating COVID-19 Challenge, where we tasked our students with connecting with one another and building solutions to help track the spread. So putting their innovative skills to use, connecting with real science experts in data science, in epidemiology, to kind of act as an incubator for quick and adaptable ideas. So we had tons of students who submitted in that challenge, and we're currently going to be announcing a winner soon, so keep an eye out. But we also host other challenges throughout the year that our students can engage with and really build their skills. Another one of our programs that is really important is our 1000 Girls, 1000 Futures program. This is a virtual science program for female students ages 13 to 17. Each year we accept 1,000 young women from around the world to work with a community of female STEM professionals who act as mentors and who act as sort of a captive audience to respond to their questions and ideas on this platform. Students undergo a 4-part curriculum training program that touches on those really 4 big buckets relating to our skills development pillars. That's our academic readiness, our communication, our critical thinking, and our leadership skills. So these women in this program really spend a full year developing those capacities while exploring every manner of STEM career that they can think of, with the added benefit of being able to reach out to female professionals in those fields. So we focus a lot on the challenges that young women might face if they're pursuing STEM, and offer them really tangible solutions and ways that they can overcome any obstacles and challenges. So the students in our programs are, once accepted what we said for life or through their age of eligibility. Both our Junior Academy and 1000 Girls programs are recruiting students right now. So if you have students in your classroom or if you have kids at home who might be interested in expanding their STEM skills or creating an international network of peers who are interested in topics similar to them, these programs would definitely be for them. So you can find all of that information on the nias.org/mentee opportunities. I'm sure everyone will get a copy of this, but we are accepting applications through July 31st. Any student age 13 to 17 from any country around the world is eligible to apply. So yeah, that's it. And with that, I will go ahead and pass it over to Bryan.
Thank you, Kaari. I appreciate it. First I want to thank Global Minded for, putting this all on for these educators. I mean, what an amazing resource to have such a rock star set of panelists and organizations that they're representing. it's pretty amazing. So really cool to be a part of it. And, you know, to kind of share some of my experiences and what my students have experienced throughout this we'll take a quick look at it. But kind of my background is maybe a little bit different. I you know, was a career changer, was a finance major initially, then, you know, after the '08 crash, went back, got my master's in physics education, and was really fortunate enough to land next to Anne, and, you know, have her as a mentor and someone who really pushed my pedagogical approach of teaching and learning in the classroom, from really the more traditional sense to one of, you know, active modeling-based learning and inquiry-based education. So it naturally allowed me to start to introduce more of an engineering mindset to you know, my projects and how I manage them in my classroom. You know, and I was fortunate enough to work with Anne for the last 4 years as well, and writing a lot of the curriculum you know, that we use and we've integrated with teachers and educators in schools throughout the country. And having that you know, kind of other lens really helped when I got back in the classroom this year and started to integrate it in my own class. So let me see if I can get the controls here. All right, there we go. And, you know, really my approach at teaching and learning, again, one that is shaped a lot with the people that have been so inspirational in my own life, you know, Anne obviously being one of them, is using engineering for this real world context of teaching science education. And, you know, I'm going to share some of the collaborators that I've had this year outside of just science. It is not something that just needs to live in the science discipline, but it really moves, you know, that traditional silo of science outside of the textbook and into the real world, and allows you to integrate those experiences for students, not just on a set of pages or in a traditional cookie cutter lab experience, but allows them to actually apply it. And the application component is really where that authenticity comes into play. And it's so critical for students in really gaining much more depth of understanding moving forward. And it empowers them. What you'll see, it empowers them that they can create change. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken out of, you know, integrating engineering design challenges in my own classroom, is that, you know, a small group of individuals, when working together and communicating with ups and downs, can really produce some amazing things that can create change going forward. And, you know, it provides not only a vehicle for active problem solving, but also the development of skills that they will take not only to college, but also to the real world. And you know, that's really what I'm concerned with them leaving with from my classroom, is not how well they know Newton's laws of motion, but how can they communicate with one another, whether they like them or not. And how can they, you know, then share the cool stuff that they're doing and that they've created and all the creativity that they're tapping into. And not only look at the solutions that they've generated, but how those solutions also impact other things, and that systems approach to thinking. And it's like I'm going to share with you in a second, it's really transdisciplinary. You can tap into multiple disciplines, break down those silos that are you know, so traditional in high schools throughout the country, in middle schools and down into elementary schools, so that you can have multiple disciplines working together, and students start to love that. And that's some really cool stuff. Some of the challenges that I have faced in teaching like this in a remote setting, and the adjustments that I've made. I mean, number one, probably the biggest thing is monitoring the process throughout the project. Anne and I, you know, and so many of those individuals that teach through PBL, you know, preach that the process in which they take to get to the end product is the single most important part. Not the product at the end. All of the cool learning happens with the process. So doing so remotely, it's really tough to kind of see that process as intimately as you would in a classroom. So one of the things that I've done, it's a little bit more work, but it has been really beneficial for not only myself, but for also the students, is using Google Classroom or any type of, you know, learning platform for that matter that has some communication component, is, you know, leave some feedback so that they can improve and then constantly checking in with that cycle of, you know, dropping them a line here and there. Hey, listen, what did you think about this? And not only have I found that it's beneficial for them, but when they're working in groups, they can do it with each other, even so, even remotely. Also, in terms of collaboration and communication of the products themselves, Flipgrid has been amazing. It's typically free for education, and it allows the students to have a platform to share and allow people to see what they've done and communicate it effectively. It also, I thought a really cool little thing is they kind of can put an emoji over their face if they're feeling a little bit shy that day. You know, they don't want to, they're feeling uncomfortable. It allows them to kind of have that sense of security there, which is neat. And then Padlet is a really cool collaborative, you know, tool that students can, you know, post really neat ideas or brainstorm, and you can kind of allow different groups to work in different pads, and therefore it kind of replaces a brainwriting or brainstorming session. I thought that was a really cool piece. So to kind of look at some of the things that, and you just want to advance one for me?
Says you have control, Bryan.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. So here's some of the projects that we've have tackled this year. The one of the student in the wheelchair in the bottom left, we created an adaptive design challenge, and we worked with our special education department, amazing group of educators at Tiverton High School up here in Rhode Island, and they really allowed us to work individually with students to create and design adaptations that will improve their daily life within school. We kind of got this inspiration from Alex Truesdale at the Adaptive Design Association in New York City. She's an amazing, amazing lady. And she does all of her work with just cardboard and glue. So we kept that constraint. And so all of the students' adaptations that they designed for our you know, group of kids were using cardboard and glue. So this is this student did not have a workable desk. He constantly had to pull into a wheelchair accessible desk, and it was not functioning for him in a really great way. So the students designed a desk that very easily goes onto his wheelchair with everything that he wanted. And it was such a powerful thing when they presented it to him. Not only does it you know, meet all of his needs, but then they went above and beyond, and they created our local police department's logo on it, and he was blown away with emotions. It's something that he used daily throughout the year, and I think they hit a home run with that. So that was just one of the designs. And naturally, how does this relate back to our own classroom? And this was a great segue into teaching forces and structures and looking at some basic Newtonian mechanics, and students just took those little droplets and ran with it. It was amazing and so fun. The second project, which is one that we've done through distance learning, is a Shindogo design challenge. So Shindogo is a Japanese art form, I guess you would say, that looks at specific things that aren't necessarily useful, but really aren't useless either. And it was a group of my seniors that have done just such amazing work throughout distance learning. So I thought this was a great way to end the year. And the students designed a Shindogo product that relates to social distancing. This one that we see here is a young man. They took their skateboard, and they're always getting in trouble for skateboarding through the house. So they decided to integrate cleaning products within the skateboard so that it would clean the house while they skateboard through it. Mom would be really happy. And we're gonna watch a really short video of another one of our students in that class who was pitching his product, or at least presenting it to us through a Zoom meeting. I thought this was a really fun way to kind of conclude the entire class. It was a lot of fun. And this young man, his name is Caesar. He's was a military family background and jumped all over the country and the world. I think he attended overall 13 different schools throughout. And I was really fortunate enough, we were really fortunate enough to have him finish his senior year with us. And what an amazing kid. He's a first generation college student this year, going into the University of Colorado Boulder School of Engineering. And the cool thing about him is he really didn't know what he wanted to do. He was, you know what, I'll probably go community college, and that was the route. And, you know, we'll see where that takes me to. He was all in getting into a STEM field and going back to his favorite place, which was Colorado specifically. And just, he's just a great story, and hope you enjoy this little video. Hoping it works. What do you think? Nope. And can you get it to go on your side? Maybe.
Bryan, do you have the video up?
No, but I can get it really quick. I'll just share my screen. Just give me one quick second.
Yep. Take your time, and I'll just make a real quick comment that we have so many different people in the global-minded world that started out in the whole, you know, engineering profession. We did a space event earlier today, and Dr. Sarah Lynn Mark, who's helping with the gender, you know, neutral space outfits, and Dr. Sheila Davis, who has 2 undergraduate degrees from MIT and is also a Penn-educated doctor, and several other, Toy Massey, who did the Everyone's Not at the Table event earlier this week. So many different cross-pollinating people who start out. So whether they stay in engineering or they end up going into another related field, it's really powerful to have this as a foundation.
Bryan, is the video showing?
No. So when we click on it, it's not allowing, it looks like it's not allowing us to then go.
All right, hang on.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
Is it showing now?
No. Let me see, maybe I can get it up and share my screen. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Don't worry. This is part of rocking and rolling in the world of the Zoom land.
Right.
And you have to have a sense of humor
Yeah.
about all of it. So,
and if Bryan's going to share his screen, you'll need to probably stop sharing yours, and then Bryan, you could share yours if you wanted to do it.
Yeah, Bryan, I'm going to stop sharing mine. Can you pull it up from your computer?
Yeah, so I have it up.
Okay, so let's try that.
Now I just need to share my screen.
Yeah.
I think.
good job.
All right, you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it up, Ann?
It's on my screen, but
All
I
right.
still have the other one in the background.
Caesar, you ready? Yeah. All right, dude. So I'll turn my camera on shortly, but basically, when I was designing this product, one of the biggest concerns that I thought was going to happen during social distancing was how do you use a cane, but at the same time keep your hands clean, so that way, in case you do have to touch something, you don't get it all dirty. And so I designed a cane that is meant to disperse hand sanitizer with just the press of a button. Let's see it. So, hold on, let me get a better shot. So it does actually work. You can just walk and push a button and you got hand sanitizer. That's great. Look at that.
Let me see. So how'd you connect it? You just and then you took a little bit of a longer hose and wound it around.
Yeah. Well, so basically, I cut with this cane. I got this specific one because the top of it is hollow and it has small holes, so you can adjust the size of it. And so I cut a hole on top and basically inserted a little hose and nozzle into the cane and have an external tank of hand sanitizer on the side.
That is great. I love it. I wish I could watch some people use it in public. It'd be spectacular. I think that's one of those shindogas that you could actually probably market in some capacity too. All right. I think I stopped sharing and everything, right?
Yeah, I think you did. I'm trying to get back to mine. There we go.
Okay. So just one really quick point. I've taken so much time, and I apologize for that. But one of the things too that was really neat about it is if you saw those first two forms in the beginning, that was really a lot of the process, a lot of the structure. So them identifying the challenge, and then being able to frame the challenge with their own criteria and constraints, so that they knew they were working within their design space and meeting those criteria and constraints in the end piece. And the reason why I was laughing so hard, and I had to cut it out, unfortunately, because there were so many other people on the screen, is the shindoga, the real shindogo part of it was the defense mechanism of the hand sanitizer on a tile floor. If someone got close, you disperse the hand sanitizer on the floor and someone would fall or slip or whatever. And it was just a fun little creative piece that he added in there. And I couldn't capture it, unfortunately. But. So I am back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I am like overwhelmed by how much information we've been able to get out to people in terms of how they can teach to support engagement and inclusion. I think we've touched on a lot of these discussion points as we've been speaking. You know, clearly part of the mission of all of us involved, and I think what brings us together under this Global Minded platform, is that we really are trying to make sure that everybody has access to creative ways of learning and that we empower all students. I also, you know, a thread that kept going through everybody's discussion was that it's really all about those skills. And we call them 21st century skills, and sometimes we call them soft skills. I heard someone at a conference call them power skills, and told her I would be borrowing that, because that's what they are. These are the skills that empower students to move beyond the classroom and to really, really believe that they can make a difference in the world. And, you know, quite frankly, I always tell teachers, you know, the future is sitting right in front of them. And that is what drives all good teachers. The fact that they are creating the future. So I'm gonna leave off these discussion points and see if we have some, going backwards again, any audience questions, because I think we covered an awful lot of what we had targeted for discussion. So I cannot see questions right now. I don't know, Celeste, maybe if you want to throw some at us and we can, are there any there?
We would like to ask people to ask questions. We don't have any at the time, but please, if you want to put your questions in the Q&A, we'd be happy to get them answered.
And while we're waiting for that, let me share a couple of things about some upcoming events. We are going to kind of a crescendo of the week of the June 8th. And so Kathy will be doing another panel on June the 11th, and the TGR Foundation's one of Global Minded sponsors. So she's going to do a whole session on the power of uncommon collaborators, especially at a time like this, to close the equity gap. So I want to just give you a shout out so we can get calendars booked right now for that. And then we have another incredible session sponsored by the Consul General of Canada, and it's the future belongs to people who are 16 and under. And so I want to ask you, Bryan, to connect me with that amazing student that was just on, because there's a woman who developed a smart cane, and she's an entrepreneur, and she's only 16, and she's got that as a business, and several other people that just show the power of, you know, people under 15, 16 years of age to really do incredible things in our world. So that is a session that's going to be happening on Tuesday, June the 9th. So all these things are in our newsletter. We'll make sure that you all get those notices, and it looks like we've got some questions.
I can't.
Celeste, you want to read those? For those
Sure.
of us
So
who
Zachary Floyd asks, do you have any suggestions for collaboration at the elementary level, other than feedback and shares via Flipgrid and others, like partnership or small group project ideas or platforms?
I think, Bryan, maybe because you've been, that question's coming from Zach, who we know. Bryan, any suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, let me see if I can see the question. So, okay, so it would come from you, Zach. You're the man. It's such a good question, dude. At the elementary level, I don't know if you've used Padlet, but that really is such an amazing platform. My son uses it quite a bit for brainstorming sessions, things of that nature. Jamboard is another really good product that we've used quite a bit with success. You know, I think Ann and I had a really great project that we rolled out with a third grade group last year in regards to the life cycle of a plant and the environment in which it lives in. And I could see that working so unbelievably well, where students actually engineer and design not only the environment, but also the plant itself. And if they could engineer and design something like that, that is something they could very, very easily do at home and work together in a small group to do it. You know, I don't know if that kind of answers the whole question.
I can answer for some of the work that we're doing right now. I'm really looking at how in every step of the process can you slot in valuable ed tech resources and platforms at different grade levels, but that's ongoing work. I won't have that ready till later in the summer. There are other questions here about some of the resources we've mentioned from Kaari and from Agnes. I'm happy to put a PDF copy of this presentation on my company website, and I'm sure Carol can get it up somewhere in the Global Minded resources. And there are links there that can help everyone if everybody is agreed that that's a good approach. And I have one final slide I'm going to put up with all of our contact information. This again will be in that PDF, so you can find it there. It'll take me a few days to get it online, but it will be on the Project Engine website. And I am sure Carol can get it up on Global Minded somewhere, and we can both get out information in our newsletters. And I am certain some of the other panelists can share it as well. Our contact information, we get to that, is here, which I think everybody can see. You know, personally, I'm always happy to directly answer teachers' questions. And I think probably all of us have so much experience working in this field that we are sort of, you know, massive compilations of resources of our own, you know. So, you know, rather than, I know right now, if you're an educator, you have been scrambling. Many of us have done that work already. So don't hesitate to reach out to us or look at some of the websites for our organizations. I think you notice that an awful lot of what we talked about, pretty much all of it, is free and accessible. And I am sure we're all happy to share with educators from around the world. So I'm going to leave it at that. If anyone has anything they want to chime in with quickly, feel free, but I know we're coming up against a time constraint here.
Can I jump in really quick, Carol?
Go ahead, Sure.
Carol, can I just jump in really quick? Because later today, Susanne and I are helping launch a brand new website, TGR Explore. We're relaunching that website that has a lot of the resources and things that we've talked about today. And also we'll answer some of the questions I think that came up in that chat box. So actually, if you go to TGR Foundation, we have a YouTube channel. We'll be streaming it live on the YouTube channel. We'd welcome you to join us on that today. And just start following any and all of us. I think we would all would welcome the opportunity to work with you further. So thanks so much. 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern time today is that event.
And Kathy, if you want to, Reshma, want to share that, we can post it up on the Global Minded 2020 too. next to this one. So we can do that. So awesome. Well, why don't we close with that, and we'll make sure there's, looks like 7 questions and some other things in the chat, but we'll make sure that we can deal with those offline. And thanks to all of you. There's still 67 people on here. So thank you for making the time for this. I know many of you are going from one event to another, but really delighted you could prioritize this one and join these fantastic educators. So thanks to all of you, and Anne and Kathy, Suzanne, and Terry and Bryan. Really great to be with you guys, and we look forward to being with you in person in June of 2021 with our vaccinations, all of us. So,
absolutely. Carol, thank you so much.
Thank
Global
you.
Mind.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Have a
Stay
good one.
safe.
thanks again. Thanks, Celeste. Bye-bye.